News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Carjacking suspects go straight to federal court. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It is Wednesday, June 1st, 2015. In my view, the first real day of summer. It's a gorgeous morning in western Montana. We have a partly cloudy sky, expecting a high near 80. Our newscast this morning is sponsored by Selway Armory on Stockyard Road. More guns and ammo than anyone in Missoula. The best prices in Montana, Montana's premier firearms dealer. The two men who allegedly robbed a casino, carjacked a family from Washington State, and fired shots at pursuing law enforcement personnel last Friday morning appeared in U.S. District Court yesterday. Judge Jeremiah Lynch interviewed both suspects, 36-year-old Thomas Dempsey and 38-year-old Nicholas West. Both men were charged with 5 identical felonies: robbery affecting commerce, carjacking, possession of a firearm during a crime of violence, discharging a firearm during a crime of violence, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Both men were placed in custody of the U.S. Marshals Service and will be held without bond until their next court appearance. 34-year-old Wesley Gardner appeared in Missoula Justice Court yesterday, charged with partner or family member assault, resisting arrest, and obstructing a police officer. On Monday, Gardner allegedly beat and choked his girlfriend, and when police arrived to arrest him, he fled and ran into the Clark Fork River, where he stayed in the water for nearly an hour before officers were able to convince him to come to shore. Deputy Missoula County Attorney Brittany Santorno asked Judge Marie Anderson for $25,000 bail.
This is the defendant's 4th partner-family member assault, and he committed this crime while on release from another DV-related crime. The defendant's actions here are also necessitated a rather large police response.
Santorno said Gardner showed no regard for court orders.
The defendant committed both this crime and the theft while on pretrial release in another case, and he's demonstrated that his actions here, that he cannot comply with court orders. His criminal history includes 4 pending violations of protection orders.
And Judge Anderson did set bail at $25,000 and ordered Gardner to appear again on June 15th. Also in Justice Court yesterday, 23-year-old Mackenzie Shaffer appeared and on an array of charges related to the theft of a vehicle from the 100 block of South 3rd Street West, according to Missoula Police Public Information Officer Travis Welsh. The woman whose car was stolen early Saturday morning noticed her own vehicle driving around Missoula later that afternoon.
Newstalk KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
That's obviously not it, so let's see if we can get that proper cut going here. Here we go.
Throughout the day, she apparently had been driving around trying to find her car, and about 8:40 that evening, she called 911 saying that she had located it and was in fact following it. An officer was dispatched and intercepted the stolen vehicle traveling southbound on Reserve at a high rate of speed.
More charges were added to Shaffer's record after an escape attempt.
Before he could catch up to it, the driver of the vehicle had dumped it just west of Reserve on Old Highway 93 North and attempted to run from the officer. The officer caught him and took him into custody. At the time incident to his arrest, he was also found to be in possession of a substance that is believed to be methamphetamine.
On top of charges for theft, criminal possession of dangerous drugs, and obstructing a peace officer, Shaffer's also been charged with criminal mischief for damaging the car during the incident. He was released on his own recognizance and will appear again on June 13th. Outside independent groups have long been expected to pour money into a 3-way race for an open seat in the Montana Supreme Court, but that money has yet to materialize as the June 7th primary approaches. Even so, lots of cash is already being raised and spent by the candidates themselves. District Judge Dirk Sandifer's campaign has raised $248,000 and spent about $116,000 and has more than $131,000 left in the bank. His 2 opponents, University of Montana law professor Kristen Juris and Great Falls attorney Eric Mills, haven't kept up. Juris has raised $94,000 and has nearly $28,000 left in the bank, according to campaign finance records. Mills has only raised $300. The top 2 vote-getters next Tuesday advance to the general election. Well, the water that Mountain Water Company delivers is about to get less expensive, according to Montana Public Service Commission spokesman Eric Sell.
The commission concluded its investigation, voting 4-1 to implement a $1.1 million rate reduction for the customers of Mountain Water. That's an annual rate reduction, and it equals to about 5.9% reduction in rates.
Rate reduction hearings began back in January, shortly after Mountain Water ownership changed hands to Liberty Utilities.
Over the past 4 months, we found that there was a savings in Liberty's acquisition of the water system. They had a low interest rate loan that they used to purchase the water system, and that resulted in a cost of capital savings that the Commission felt should be passed on to Mountain Water customers rather than be retained by the company as profit.
According to Cell, ratepayers will begin to see those savings almost immediately and should show up on water bills at the end of this month. A group of Republican lawmakers wants the legislature to hold a special session in August to consider raising campaign contribution limits to be more in line with those in nearby states, or perhaps even to abolish them altogether. The legislators filed their request yesterday with the Secretary of State's office just a week before the June 7th primary. The Secretary of State has 5 days to begin surveying the 150 members of the House and Senate. Lawmakers also would consider closing a loophole that, in effect, allows political parties to pay the salaries of campaign staffers. It would cost about $92,000 to reconvene the legislature for a one-day session and $44,000 for each additional day. And speaking of politics, Missoula's primary is this coming Tuesday. Political yard signs are next Tuesday, rather. Political yard signs are out in full force. City of Missoula Compliance Officer Charmel Owens said her office is receiving about 5 or 10 calls a day concerning improperly placed political signs.
Right now, our office is mainly complaint-driven, so usually people will call our front desk at Development Services. They'll issue a complaint that a sign is in the right-of-way or in a clear view triangle, so it might be impeding traffic, and we're asked to remove those signs because they become a traffic hazard.
Owen said sign removal is usually driven by a public safety concern, and there are a number of reasons why a sign might need to be moved.
Signs have to be on private property, and of course that's with the consent of the property owner. They're limited to a maximum of 20 square feet in size. One of the things that we ask candidates is to please not put them within 100 feet of any entrance to a building where there's a polling place that's located in that area.
When the city removes a sign, Owen said they're usually taken to the city shops where politicians can pick them up and prepare to plant them at a more appropriate location. And the former chief financial officer of Vans Incorporated has reached a plea agreement in a federal case that alleges he helped former CEO George Manlove defraud the electronics and appliance chain, causing it to file for bankruptcy. Paul Nisbet's plea agreement was filed May 24th, but a change of plea hearing hasn't yet been set. Nisbet agreed to plead guilty to one count of conspiracy that alleged he and at least one other person conspired to defraud Vans of just over $900,000. He also agreed to pay $122,000 in restitution. Prosecutors said they would not recommend prison time, but said the judge is not bound by their recommendation. Nisbet said he can provide substantial assistance to prosecutors, which could make him eligible for a sentence reduction. Manlove has pleaded not guilty to more than 200 counts of conspiracy and fraud. His trial is in October. Our News Talk time, 6:13.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Partly to mostly sunny skies today with our high temperature in the upper 70s and low 80s. We'll see our highs in the low 70s with a bit more cloud cover on Thursday, but 80 to 90 degree temperatures expected this weekend. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.